As Zero Day arrived, Elizabeth Sobek gave her life to ensure the work of Zero Dawn would remain undetected by the swarm, and the remaining Alphas prepared to live out the rest of their lives within Gaia Prime. With more work yet to be completed, they pushed on through the loss of their dear friend and leader, never knowing how their storied legacy would ultimately come to an end. Once again, the choices of one Ted Faro would shape the course of human history, a history he wished to never be remembered. As those who have experienced the story of HCD know all too well, Faro would gather the remaining Alphas of Project Zero Dawn to inform them of his action to erase the subfunction Apollo, ensuring those who would be reborn into Gaia's new world would never know of the sins of the past, nor be able to learn from them. He then proceeded to murder those who had engineered this Herculean effort of preservation, and no further records of his life exist after that point. But how was he able to achieve this level of control over ZD in order to kill the Alphas, the very minds responsible for its construction? Within the data point emergency recording, we hear the mention of Omega Clearance, a level of authority potentially even higher than that of Alpha Prime, certainly able to override the authority of all those who perished that day. For many of us in the lore community, this left us wondering how Faro was able to gain this power over his contemporaries, especially since his relationship with Dr. Sobek wasn't exactly one built on a history of trust. This question, however, was not answered within the lore of the game, but rather in a Reddit AMA. Here it was confirmed that Ted had tasked his engineers to create a secret backdoor into the system principally for his own use. It's unclear whether or not he had always intended to carry out the murder of the Alphas, or if his decision came after his mental health began to deteriorate after the death of Elizabeth. Between the unfathomable guilt of his actions and his isolation in his private post-Zero Day bunker, it's not hard to imagine what can happen to a mind under such conditions. Elizabeth had been the one to manage the Trillionaire throughout the entirety of Zero Dawn's creation, and perhaps if she had lived, the world of the 31st century may be very different than the one we know so well. And that brings this chronicle to a close. If you'd like to see more content like this, likes and shares are always appreciated, and if you're hungry for more Horizon lore, be sure to hit subscribe and ring that bell. Also consider supporting the channel on Patreon so we can keep making content just like this. Check out the link in the description. And as always, thanks for watching and keep questing.